Alright folks, at long last, welcome back to WPC Ace League on Beyond the Summit. We've got IG versus LGD Gaming International Game 2. Now, in the 7 or 8 years that it's been since Game 1, you guys may have forgotten what actually happened, but LGD.int did surprise IG, won with a score of 32-9 on kills. Very, very dominant performance. Here we are going into Game 2. The Beyond the Summit crew are currently upgrading their streaming hardware. So I don't necessarily know if that would have impacted this particular game, but it certainly will provide a better streaming experience for you all. At any rate, filling in will be myself, Vikermond, and co-caster Basekip. Basekip, when we were talking before this series started, you said that you were kind of skeptical that LGD.int could adapt to the new way that the game is being played. Did Game 1 allay your fears at all, or was it just that you feel IG played into them?
No, I think LGD.int, I'm not going to take anything away from them from Game 1. They played it very well. They read IG's draft fantastically, and they executed exactly in the way that they needed to. They've gone for the exact same pairing of heroes so far to start off the draft this time around, so we'll see if IG are maybe going to be able to adapt a little bit to it this time, but yeah, looking forward to Game 2.
Yeah, exactly the same picks. Crystal Maiden first, Timbersaw second, and do you think we'll see Crystal Midas again?
I don't know if you can... I don't know if he'll be able to get away with it this time around. Maybe.
With
Maybe
Batrider.
We'll see.
Yeah. Do you see this? It's really hard to tell, of course, this early in the draft, but do you guess that this is more likely to just be YYF Bat, I suppose? Something a little more active than the Nature's Prophet that he had last game?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think IG are going to be too greedy about how they play this. I think the one problem for IG in the previous game was they lacked a little bit as far as the draft lacked a little bit because they couldn't win team fights unless they were ahead on gold and experience. They didn't have any ultimates that were going to be able to bail them out or anything like that. So as soon as they fell behind from the early game, that was pretty much it for them. So this time around, they've got the Batrider for initiation or counter initiation, and just having that little bit extra when you're going for a pushing lineup, having that pick off hero or the big team fight hero, something like that, is always really good. So I think IG this time around, we hopefully see them at least get an advantage at some point in the game, because last game they just didn't have anything going for them.
And IG will certainly want at least a draw result from this. If they draw this, if they manage to win this game too and get a draw against LGD.int, they will actually be in a tie with DK for the first spot in the league standings. It'll be the first time this season that DK hasn't been leading the charts. Now, of course, if they take a loss, which would be their second loss of the season, IG would not drop. Tongfu's still a little bit behind them, but they certainly would imperil themselves, at least for ending up in those top 2 slots. Of course, the top 2 is very, very important in Ace because it gives you a bye, so you get seeded directly into the semifinals. So IG will want at least to get this victory and not to drop to LGD International. While of course they're playing well, is a loss that they can ill afford to have as we move into the second half of the season. And here, for the first time in several games, because he keeps constantly getting banned out, especially in the first phase, we see Night Stalker. What's your take on the 6.79 Night Stalker base cap?
I do definitely like the Night Stalker quite a bit. If you can get off to a good early start with the NS, then he applies a ton of pressure all around the map. The new darkness changes are very difficult to play against. Vision is so important in this new patch. I mean, there's extra duration on observer wards. Keeping vision over Roshan is now super important. There's all kinds of little things that really affect how the game is played vision-wise, and making sure that you keep your eyes on the enemy supports and things like that, and knowing where people are at all times. And darkness really throws a wrench in that plan. So
not to mention,
I like the Night Stalker quite a bit.
And all the night vision nerfs as well. I don't think any of these heroes that IG has were affected by that, but there's so few heroes other than Night Stalker and basically Luna that actually have very good night vision now. So he's able to darkness off of a smaller base than maybe previously. But IG with a lineup that they're fairly comfortable with. In fact, this almost looks like a pre-TI3 era IG lineup, but for the fact that there's no Chuan to play Earthshaker. What's your take on Shaker too? I feel like this is a guy we've been seeing more and more. Is it just the fissure range increase that's making him see more play, or is he just better adapted to the way teams are playing?
I think the fissure range increase is a big deal. I mean, before there was almost a guarantee that you could you could probably see Earthshaker if he could fisher you, but now that's sort of out the window. You know, Earthshaker can be, you know, fishing you from fog.
Yeah.
People have posted videos about all the new shenanigans that you can pull with the new fisher. I
Like
don't
what?
think nobody's really done it. I guess you can. Well, you can still do obviously the Dire Ancients.
Sure.
Radiant Ancients work. The new Dire Medium Camp, where the small camp used to be, is pullable with Earthshaker. It's a little bit tricky in terms of timing. So there's all kinds of weird stuff you can do, and especially with what we saw Puppy do the other day was that he was just on the off lane as Earthshaker, and instead of, you know, pooling up the creeps or doing anything weird like that, he just waited until the minus move speed was removed, and then blocked them right in front of his towers, so that the eventual position of the equilibrium was just right under their tier 1
Oh, wow.
on the off lane, and that makes that off lane that much safer than it already is.
Sure.
So I
So-
think the Earthshaker, yeah, for all of these reasons and more.
So is that
pretty good.
speed boost for the creeps? Is it time based, so you can actually wait it
Yeah.
out with that fissure? Wow, I didn't know that.
So the way that it works is that the off lane creeps, so the dire creeps on top lane,
Right.
for example, are slowed down by if it's the same as if it's symmetric with the, you know, with the way that the safe lane works, then it's a 25% move speed reduction for 15 or 16 seconds, and the enemy creeps get a 25% move speed increase.
Okay.
For 15 seconds, so it's not so worth it to block or fisher or anything like that during the slowdown period because the creeps
Right.
are moving so slowly anyway. But as soon as
Right.
that fades and you block it, then you really affect the position of the equilibrium. That's
That's
why
very
Puppy did it right at the river instead of doing it earlier down in the lane.
Okay, so actually that's very interesting. So it's basically, it's not just the fissure range increase, it's also the fact that fissure blocking is now very consequential due to the way that if they had just changed the spot that the creeps spawned at, I feel with what you're saying, maybe it wouldn't make as much difference and Earthshaker wouldn't be as strong in that extreme early laning phase, but because they chose this speed increase and decrease method, it really makes that fissure effective. IG, they follow up with a Shadow Fiend, probably for Ferrari 430 would be my guess, and this is a hero he's been piloting more lately and has done very, very well with. I guess my question is this going to be really vulnerable to just roaming ganks from LGD.int, and how will IG be able to protect Shadow Fiend early on?
Yeah, that could end up being a little bit of a problem for them. We'll see how mobile they're going to want to be this game, because it didn't, you know, roaming around didn't really work out for them in the previous game. And this time around, I think they've got even worse roaming supports than they did in the previous game. So I think Invictus Gaming are just looking to sit back and grab as much farm as they can. I really like that they're waiting for LGD.int to really... If LGD.int are going to escalate this, you know, in terms of carries and head this towards more of a late game situation, IG aren't going to be the ones to make that move. They picked up the Shadow Fiend, but he's still really good early to mid. Right now,
Sure.
we don't have anybody that wants to farm up for 20 minutes and take this late. Everybody is ready to be active and aggressive early, which I really like from both sides.
For sure, and I'm thinking more about it, and maybe it isn't Shadow Fiend mid. I do think that the ganks are so dangerous. It's starting to feel more to me like maybe a How Shadow Fiend, and they'll either give Batrider to Ferrari 430 or still draft another mid hero. There haven't been that many mid-targeted bans. Really just the Outworld Devourer and Pugna, if you choose to run Pugna mid, and of course Elder Titan, I suppose. So
Yeah.
I feel that they still have some options in this draft, and certainly LGD.int thinks so. They actually ban out the Clockwork, who would be either going up mid against Night Stalker or Timbersaw, or going up off lane. So they clearly didn't feel that Shadow Fiend was going to be Ferrari's hero. And I do like, what I like about this IG draft is that it does leave that opening possibility. They could put How on the Shadow Fiend and just seek for that huge mid-game burst damage, or they could put Ferrari on the Shadow Fiend, give How some sort of other hard carry, like, I mean, he used to be undefeated on Gyrocopter for a very long time when he was on Tongfu. It is still available here.
Yeah, they've got a lot of ways to lane this. If they want to, they could do those. You know, they could do those Spectre. They could do those Earthshaker pulls. They could just have the Earthshaker sit behind the Shadow Fiend on mid. The Earthshaker stacks the medium camp for him, just secure some farm. If any ganks arrive, then just Fisher and make sure that he gets away. But LGD.int, they are going to escalate things a little bit here. But I don't know, Spectre. I'm thinking, you know, maybe Vanguard Diffu if there's enough space. Maybe get a Radiance. I mean, it is probably going to be black. So maybe we'll see a Midas if he gets the space for it. The guy
Midas
loves
Spectre.
the item.
That would
It's a
be
bit greedy.
That would be pretty Black Dragon 477 for sure. Actually, I think it's 774. I'm forgetting his username now. Viper, the final pickup for IG. So I think we must have guessed right. It should be a How Shadow Fiend and a Ferrari 430 Viper. No, it's the other way around. Huh? Interesting. Okay.
The one thing that I think was a big problem for IG in the previous game, that Ferrari wasn't on a hero that could win his lane, that could really take advantage of his skills as a mid laner to put pressure on the opposing mid and try and force the enemy supports to come and deal with him, because Pycat sort of single-handedly dealt with him on the Alchemist, and that meant that for Ferrari to have a big impact in the game, he had to go and do stuff elsewhere, which you know, doesn't really play to his strengths as much, I would say, just because of how good a 1v1 player he is.
I agree. I mean, on something like Shadow Fiend that he's been playing for years, sort of the preeminent mid hero, I think, definitely offers him a bigger chance to display his laning ability. And Nyx, as you said, can't really win the lane by that much, no matter who he's against. And basically after that, it's just an impale fest, and everybody's missing impales these days. I don't think that was by any means isolated to Ferrari. I think we saw Mushi having trouble with impales the other way too, and if Mushi's having trouble with something, it can't possibly be easy. Like, we're talking about the best mechanical player in the world by some margin. At any rate, IG... So. Sorry, what? What's up?
Mushi can't micro, so I guess
that's
not
true.
The best mechanical player. I don't know. He is definitely very good.
I think he's definitely up there. Ferrari 430 going up in the middle is Shadow Fiend. IG going to try to salvage something out of a series that already hasn't gone the way that they wanted. In the top lane, it'll be Banana on the Earthshaker, possibly doing some of these creep block shenanigans that we discussed in pregame. YYF on the Bat Rider, also in this lane, possibly heading towards jungle later also. Weird cosmetic haircut. That is just shockingly orange. It's Naruto-esque. And in the bottom lane, it'll be Faith on the Visage and How on the Viper.
And meanwhile, for LGD.int, Brax is going to be on the Timbersaw. We've got Freedom making his way down here as well on the Windrunner. Heading towards mid, Pycat is going to be on that Nightstalker, just a straight bottle rush for him. Misery is going to be heading into the jungle as the Crystal Maidens start. Already a smoke picked up, so looking to be at least a little bit active, try and put some pressure on this Ferrari Shadow Fiend on mid. And finally, we've got Black handling his Spectre up on the top lane.
What's your take on Viper as a pick here? I mean, I guess there's only one auto attack carry on LGD, although Nightstalker is capable of auto attacking pretty beefily as well. What's IG's thinking behind the Viper pick here? What's your analysis of it?
It wins lanes. I mean, I would say that's the big thing about the Viper in this patch. When you've got these 2v2s, 1v1s, things like that, the Viper is just very, very potent in the laning stage. And we've often seen, the laning stage be very indicative of how the rest of the game is going to play out.
Sure.
So I don't mind the pickup here. And especially with How being on the safe lane, he should be able to get the farm to be tanky enough to not be face rushed down by LGD.int.
Right. Oh man, Ferrari is playing very far up. He's pressuring Nightstalker quite heavily, but this does leave him potentially open to Misery's smoke gank here. Misery moving at a very portentous movement speed. He's going in for the Frostbite. He is level 2. He's going to get the Crystal Nova also. Ferrari in a bit of trouble as he takes a Void and a Crystal Nova right to the face. One more auto attack, and for the second game in a row, it'll be Misery of LGD.int taking the first blood on their first pick Crystal Maiden. They are certainly getting mileage out of this pick.
Yeah, the solo roaming supports are really scary now, and I would say the Crystal Maiden and Lion are probably your premium supports as far as that situation is concerned, because it's only one hero, but it's still setting up ganks. There's nothing obvious about the fact that the Crystal Maiden is roaming down to grab you. And really nicely played there by Misery. Made sure that he had enough mana for both spells, not risking anything going for that gank on Ferrari.
Misery doesn't have a smoke this time, and he doesn't have boots either, so he decides eventually not to go for it. It would have been difficult to catch 430 out like that again. Now, even though IG gave up first blood, as you said, Viper wins lanes. Actually, will it win the lane against Brax right here? Brax does not have Timber Chain available. X-Freedom needs to find the perfect time to shackle. Soul Assumption goes out. It is enough to take down Timbersaw. So a critical kill for IG in this bottom lane, and that does give them something of an advantage in all three lanes, I think, to some extent. Shadow Fiend doing a little better than Pycat, although, I mean, Nightstalker is never going to win a lane during the first day. And then Bat Rider doing just fine top for YYF, and How, of course, winning over Timbersaw and Windrunner here in the bottom lane. So the advantage in laning for IG may yet pay off, even though they did give up first blood.
Yeah, and we've got the courier running out to mid lane right as 3 minutes passes, so Bottle Crow is on its way for Pycat. So he should be fine in this lane. Again, like you said, it's not really about winning against the Shadow Fiend. It's just about securing your own farm, and then being able to roam around the map and shut down IG's heroes later on.
Yeah. And Ferrari only 5 denies, so it's a good amount, but Pycat is leveling okay. He's going to be level 5, maybe even close to level 6 by the time the first night rolls around. I don't know how much he'll be able to get done in that first night, but I feel like, I don't know if this is actually true, but it feels to me like first night has become a little less important for Night Stalker, and it's now much more about that second night. Fissure Trap attempts to get Misery, but Misery is on the correct side of it to survive. This Crystal Maiden's going to live another day.
Brax in trouble again, bottom lane.
Eats the Soul Assumption. How? Chasing through the trees, gets shackled. Nicely timed by X Freedom, and Brax will walk away. Level 3, still no Timber Chain on this Timber Saw. It's cancelled by his Healing Salve, is cancelled by an auto attack from Faith, and I gotta say, Faith's Visage was probably the best thing going for them in that first game, so the fact that IG takes it again, I think is probably auspicious.
Yeah. The one thing to keep in mind about the way that Misery has been playing this is that he hasn't really been helping out Black up on top. So helping the Night Stalker win his lane mid means that Pycat needs to pay that forward later on to start getting some farm going on in Black at some point.
With a Hand of Midas? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if he can help him farm that, but maybe if he brings in a tier 1 tower somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I agree. It's true, Black is not farming very well. I mean, oh, he actually misses that Siege Creep, so still 9 for 1. Not doing nearly as well as maybe they would want with Spectre, as she is a very farm-dependent hero. I heard you mention twice, Base Kip, an item that...
Double damage Pycat bottom lane.
Oh, yes, so you're right. Pycat, trying to use that first night, is just going to clear out the jungle for now. It looks like he's called off the Hounds for now, and X Freedom actually farming up the middle a little bit with Windrunner. If they can get a Shackle on 430... this could be a decent opportunity. Oh, meanwhile, YYF getting hit by Black's Desolates. There's the Frostbite. It looks like, oh man, that was a great fissure, but not quite enough from Banana to save YYF's life there. And meanwhile, Pycat still hunting for Ferrari. Ferrari walks right into it. There's the Void. There's the Silence. Nobody else is around here. Will Pycat just be able to have manly punches and take 430 down 430? Has the Healing Salve. There is the stun coming out from X Freedom. The Power Shot as well. Void. It's still not quite enough. They need one more auto attack. Have they overcommitted? YYF is here on Batrider. Oh man, that gank couldn't have... it was within inches of being able to bring down Shadow Fiend, and instead, X Freedom and Pycat both forced to flee. In fact, Faith is rotating. They still want Pycat. He's now going south. 3 stacks of Napalm on him. Brax dissuading IG from pursuing any further, and that's the end of what was a very awkward situation for both teams.
Yeah, I think Freedom missed his power shot there, or you know how you can sometimes the animation connects, but you've actually outranged it, so you don't get the damage. So Pycat thought he was, one swipe away from finishing off Ferrari. To Ferrari's credit, he popped a salve, he managed to juke around a little bit, gain some HP, and survive. But yeah, I think the crucial point there was that Freedom didn't manage to get the power shot damage down. And
Pycat has now spent so much time roaming that he's almost pressured himself into spending even more time roaming, because now he needs to make something of this first night. He still only has the assist from the first blood. And IG, I mean, they know what time it is, and so they're staying close to their towers, playing pretty safe. And so Pycat's Night Stalker right now is having a little bit of trouble. He's going to smoke to try to give himself that extra edge. Meanwhile, a 3-man IG gank squad goes for Misery. They want revenge on Crystal Midas. Misery with the big jukes, the huge jukes. Oh my god! He dies, but not before they actually manage to bring down Ferrari. Misery is going absolutely ham on Crystal Maiden. The Shackle won't latch from X Freedom, but Banana, he's not able to do the same juking that Ferrari did earlier. And so 2 down for a Crystal Maiden. Misery once again getting value.
Yeah, and just look at Black CS all of a sudden. Pycat wasn't even getting kills, but he went bot. He forced IG to move away. So the 2 heroes that were on top lane from them are there no longer, and Black is all of a sudden getting pretty close to the top of the CS chart.
How takes a Whirling Death and a Timber Chain. He doesn't get a chance to use Viper Strike. Pycat silences him just in time, and now a critical fissure from Banana will attempt to make it out, but Pycat looks to dive. No, he changes his mind. He eats a Soul Assumption and a couple tower hits, and they call it off. That said, suddenly this first night is looking very, very productive. As you said, Baseskip, creating so much space for Black. Now, you mentioned an item that I feel like has been taboo for a while. Do you think Vanguard Spectre is legit now?
I think the thing is now is that people are moving, like, this is my thoughts on Vanguard. I think it's still a little bit questionable, but a lot of the situations are right now where the supports jump to the carry who is solo farming because your supports are off doing stuff. It's not valuable enough to be sitting right behind your carry and just farming.
Oh, here we go. Black TPs. Like you said, he's getting active. Pycat throws the Void, but YYF is right here with the lasso. Pycat forced to pop Darkness to escape, and Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Vanguard would necessarily have changed that, but Black is actually forced to walk away, tail tucked between his legs.
No, but infinite. Oh, do I have the second?
Maybe not.
Freedom? maybe not. Finds a regen. Let's see if he wants to go in.
Brax, how did that timber chain miss? Oh, he hit this spot right where there's not a tree. Wow, poor Brax, poor Braxton.
That's unlucky.
It really is.
But yeah, I guess the one thing with the Vanguard is that you can kind of leave the Spectre by herself, and she's got enough HP that she should be able to survive if she gets jumped by 2 or 3 heroes, and without it, you don't really have that luxury. But no, Black's got the Midas.
You know, I thought you were for sure wrong, and nope. Here's the Timber Chain out from Brax. He is under the tier 1 tower. There's a Viper Strike still on him. Throws out the Chakram. Maybe he can at least kill Faith. No, he can't. He goes down. Faith extremely low. One more tower shot will do the trick. They didn't draw the aggro. And Misery, how now in full retreat from Crystal Maiden. Pycat, no Darkness available and no tier 2 boots. Does not have the speed to chase this Viper down. He's still going to give it his best shot. Power shot coming through. How is Silence? There's a Shackle shot. It actually latches How to Banana. That was some hackle shots right there. And Misery actually manages to pick up the double there. 1,400 gold. It's coming, Base Kip. It's coming.
The Midas Crystal Maiden. Yeesh. I don't know. Maybe I think he's earned it this game.
I think he's earned it abundantly.
Yeah. I don't know. You would question if this was 6.78. You would wonder why LGD.int would first pick the Crystal Maiden. But the way that the laning structure is working out and the way that Misery is playing this, he's never on the map until he's killing you, which is absolutely terrifying if you're IG right now. And again, he's just one support, so you can be quite happily farming against somebody in lane, be it the Night Stalker or something like that, and then Crystal Maiden pops out of nowhere and sets up a kill. So yeah, Misery, props to him.
Yeah, I gotta say, in both games, I mean, this Crystal Maiden has been just very, very key to their plans, and they're doing fantastically well with it. Freedom has actually Gloves of Haste, so I guess this is Tread's Windrunner, not something you see every day, but his levels are so good that maybe he's positioning himself as an alternative damage dealer, while Black is doing the thing that he does.
If Black hits creeps very well, I don't think there's any reason to have him not hit creeps.
Right.
If he's got the opportunity to.
Yep,
so
it's true. Black Dragon's gonna Black Dragon.
Yeah,
About to get his next use as
LGD.int's plan.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if it works, it's okay if it's a little bit predictable if you're able to. I mean, as you said, sometimes you can't really get that 4v5 going, but here, so far in both games, LGD.int are managing it, and Clink's really got so much space that time, plus Black was playing so incredibly safe that game 1 with the Skeleton Walk. And this game, IG haven't even really tried to gank Black, which is surprising, because Spectre has a much more difficult time escaping than Clink's, I feel. Sure, she's got the Spectral Dagger, but YYF completely cancels that with Firefly, basically.
You also either need to chain stun her to death, or she's going to reality to a weak hero somewhere on the other side of the map. So you have to bring more heroes to try and get that kill, and it becomes a little bit more difficult as a result.
YYF's blink doesn't go quite far enough. That was a very smart usage of the stuns from the familiars from Faith, but it's not quite enough to be able to actually catch the Night Stalker, even during daytime. Meanwhile, Brax
that's a big deal.
Up. Yeah?
That's a big deal. YYF, he was smoked, he had his blink dagger, he hadn't given it away just yet, I think. So.
That's a good point. That's the first
missing
game
that gank
since he
is a
got
big
it.
deal.
And How, who started farming very, very well, is now lagging a little bit behind, 43 for 10. I mean, Viper is not the most item-dependent hero in the world, but he's going to need BKB at the very least. Plus maybe some damage. And even maybe the Aghanim Scepter, if that's what he goes for.
Vikermon, he's done it. He's done it. It's the...
Has he?
Yep.
Yes! Yes! This is so good. It's the 12-minute Midas for Crystal Maiden. Brave New World, right arrow sign new meta.
Look, in this game, I mean, in this patch, what does Crystal Maiden need? She needs like 2 points in Arcane Aura and Tranquil Boots, and then what else does she buy? A Hand of Midas. Like,
what does a hero truly need? Hand of Midas.
Exactly.
Hand of Midas is the only answer.
Can join Black in his farming crusade.
Yep. And I mean, they're up, and it's night again, so IG has to play defensive, and Black gets all the time in the world. Actually, this Night Stalker fits amazingly into LGD.int's... Wow, I haven't even thought about this. This is like a defensive Night Stalker pick, because every time you might want to gank Spectre, suddenly you have all of 300 vision. That's actually really sick for LGD.int's, like... This is a very versatile lineup, more versatile than I initially thought.
Yeah, I mean, they're still relying a lot on Black in the late game to carry this out. But again, the way that the game, well, the way that the draft played out was that IG weren't willing to be the first ones to escalate it towards a late game situation. So LGD.ints actually have, I would say, a small advantage here heading towards the late game, especially with the levels of farm that
Can they get Brax? Here comes the lasso from YYF, even as they kill Visage. Here's How on it as well. The Viper Strike comes through. Brax is going to try to TP. The Familiar Stuns will not come in time. Timbersaw escapes and makes me feel bad that I decided to watch that instead of the gank coming top, where Faith gets taken down, and they actually probably take a tier 1 even as IG pressures the tier 1 bottom. Fortification comes out for both teams. It does look like LGD.int are a little bit ahead on this, and they're going to clear it. Nah, it's about the same. No, actually IG might be peeling back as Brax is back. He's healed up all the way. The tower's destroyed top, and IG's still not getting the trades they want. Banana walks right into Brax. There's a shackle shot. It won't hack this time, but the power shot, more than enough. Misery. Kill stealing, or I don't even know what to say anymore. Just getting kills for this carry Crystal Maiden. Now 6-1-2. He's been part of 8 of 9 kills. Oh my god. And the Midas now used as well.
Yeah, had similar participation in the last game.
Yeah.
Misery on this Crystal Maiden. I'm saying MVP so far. We'll see if IG can manage to turn things around, but we still haven't seen a lot of value from the Batrider just yet.
Pycat in black. Ferrari. He's probably dead. Will he escape? Actually, no, not quite. Very close. He had good timing on the TP right after the Void from Night Stalker, but it wasn't enough to survive because Black was there. And I mean, Black, say what you will, he has been using this reality at good times. The first time he almost got a kill, the second time he did help get one. Here's Brax, charging very deeply onto Faith. Has he charged too deep? Faith very, very low. Shackle shot again from X Freedom. Somehow this Timbersaw's alive, finally brought down by the Firefly. Pycat now dueling it out with How. How is still silenced. Misery with the freezing field. No stuns for this Crystal Maiden. Finally, Banana's there with the fissure to block that. And now Pycat trying to TP out. He won't make it out in the end. This was maybe a bridge too far for LGD. They trade 2 for what looks like 4.
Yeah, that was a bit of a greedy dive from them. I mean, nicely played by IG, some good familiar drops. They kept everybody locked down. And LGD kind of trickled into that as well. Brax was already there, but yeah, everybody else took a few more seconds to get to the fight. Fortunately, Ferrari was dead, so he wasn't flash farming at the same time, and Black was still getting some gold up. So I don't think the biggest loss for LGD, but yeah, maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
They took a lot of tower damage. Like, I think the tower did almost more damage than any actual member of IG did, because there were no creeps, so they just kept hitting Brax again and again, and then YYF and Banana. I mean, smart moves by IG. Even this Earthshaker has been doing surprisingly well, considering when you look at his inventory, he has somewhere south of nothing. Finally gets his boots.
He's not having the best time. But so IG, they've really missed the timing around YYF getting this Blink Dagger up. It hasn't felt amazingly impactful so far. So we'll see if this Ferrari BKB is going to help to start turn things around a little bit. But otherwise, they don't really have any huge items that they're waiting around for. I mean, How is still ages away from finishing anything, and yeah, if this BKB isn't enough to at least bring down a tier 1, then I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, it's IG are up. No, they're not even up a tower. It's pretty much, it's even on towers. LGD ahead strategically, ahead on gold. Here comes another blink. YYF misses the blink. He can't get the lasso onto Pycat, who now silences him. I'm not sure X Freedom and Pycat can just fight this alone, though. Yeah, they walk away. IG peeling away as well. And yeah, Basecamp, you mentioned that YYF is getting almost nothing out of this blink. He's only actually stuck a lasso once, and Brax still teleported out.
Pokemon, I want you to check Freedom's inventory right now, and I want you to tell me if it's going to happen again.
No, you can't be serious. Meanwhile, How gets silenced. Flame Break doesn't get what they need. The Shackle Shot, actually X Freedom doesn't land it. I really thought he might get it there, but they have to peel off. And X Freedom, well, he certainly has Gloves of Haste and 1350 gold. Time will tell if this is the game that suddenly causes a patch to come out nerfing a Midas.
Surely you don't. Surely you...
It's pretty cheeky.
Do they have a mech? No. I mean, no. Faith has a mech, and they don't. I would really say that this
mechanism? What a trash item. Doesn't get you any gold.
no late game advantage.
Yeah, that's true. It is the exact inverse of a Midas. It's good early and not so great late.
Oh my god.
Yep. That just red arrow sign, that just happened.
No, I don't know. I guess if he doesn't die, it'll it'll buy a mech.
Yeah, eventually at like 30
Yeah.
minutes, 33 minutes.
I don't agree with this because I think IG they've just finished up 2 big items. I wasn't keeping track of that mech up on Faith, but he actually did a really good job of finishing that when he did. And they've got the BKB up almost on Ferrari. I think it's already being shipped out. Yeah, so this is a big timing for them, and they're just going to try and force some team fights. And I don't know if LGD have what they need to be able to fight. I mean, they are definitely ahead, but they have 2 Midases contributing to their net worth, which is doing nothing on the Crystal Maid.
They've got 5,700 gold bound up in Midases, right? So sure, they're 2k ahead, but 6,000 of that is Midas, which, yeah, it gives you attack speed. So I agree with you. I think IG has a timing which they can try to make something happen. Will Brax escape? Oh, what a fissure from Banana, showing why he was actually one of the highest fantasy rated players in TI3. Uses the Echo Slam as well just to ensure that they bring down the Timber Saw. And that'll delay Brax's Bloodstone quite a bit. He still needs the entirety of the Perseverance and a critical gank for IG even if they had to use 2 ultimates to do it.
Yeah, and IG are finding their feet now. They're getting this momentum going, and it just doesn't look like LGD.int are really able to keep pace. I mean, the strength of their lineup through the early to mid game was Misery was roaming and finding pickoffs. Pycat took that over and helped, Black find some solo kills, and because they were finding solo kills, then they were able to hold off the IG push. But while all of IG are alive and just holding hands as 5, it's very difficult for LGD.int to force too much. They don't have really good lane.
Another great fissure, but I think Pycat, yeah, he's got haste rune. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be tough to hold off the push, but if they do, Basekip, 3 Midases, how much ahead on levels will they be if this game goes even another 10 minutes? The Windrunner and CM will just be like, I'm not going to say double the level of Visage and Earthshaker, but they'll be way ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if IG don't punish it, it will pay off, but I don't know. If you're IG and you've seen this, this is like...
Oh, they've seen it.
This is a huge opportunity. You're just like, look, they have, like you said, 6k gold worth of items that are just doing very, very little. I mean, the attack speed is helping the Spectre deal damage, but aside from that, it's just a strictly, golden experience item for the 2 supports.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Black is also rocketing towards that Radiance. This will be... I mean, the Midas certainly held it back a tiny bit, but it's still going to be about a 21-minute Radiance. I think that's very reasonable timing, and Spectre is honestly starting to get a little scary. The only downside of this Radiance will be that he's going to have corrosive skin on him from now until the end of eternity, but hey, you can always turn off Radiance.
Yeah, the one thing that's very telling about how LGD.int, how their playstyle has changed in the last little bit, is that their warding positions have gone very defensive. They haven't actually been over onto the IG side of the map for a while. They'd really like to take this tier 1 down mid so they can get some control over the Radiant jungle and have more space for Black to be able to farm.
Oh, Brax in trouble again, gets caught out. A very good lasso by IG. Here comes Black's TP. Brax already on the ground. Ferrari using his new BKB. How using his new BKB. Misery, Pycat, and Black all sort of fleeing out of here. Misery's going to TP. It looks like he's going to be safe, so all they lose... Actually, in the final reckoning, I'm not sure this is all that bad of a trade. They trade YYF for Brax, which sure you lost Brax, but they got 2 10-second BKBs out of the equation used by IG. And every second off that BKB is a little shaved off the IG Deathball push.
Yeah, and Black made some really good decisions in that fight. He used the Haunt, but he didn't immediately jump in to try and bail the Timberzar. He took stock of what was going on and decided, okay, look, I'm not going to charge straight in. And as soon as that Haunt pops, IG thought that it was going to be a full 5-on-5 fight without the Timbersaw, so they just charge in with BKBs and try and see what they can get. So, I mean, it is a Haunt and a kill in exchange for 2 BKB charges, but I think LGD make the best of a bad situation there, just by keeping... It
could have been really bad.
Keeping cool heads.
Brax was completely caught out. If they had overcommitted to the fight, it could have been turned completely around on them. So the fact that they just managed to get... I mean, they even got a kill, so they got Faith's Visage down. Who has mech moving towards Aghanims. He's got pretty good farm.
Misery's got a Mystic Staff.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. He's got part of a BKB if he wants it, and part of a Sheep if he wants it. That's... I mean, the Mystic Staff intelligence is actually a really big deal if you're planning to constantly cast Freezing Field, because Freezing Field takes an insane amount of mana. 400 at rank 2, 600 at rank 3. Like, if you don't have any int items on Crystal Maiden, and you're exactly level 16, you have, I think, 850 mana or so. So, it's like 3/4 of your mana just to try to cast Freezing Field. And so I think this Mystic Staff is actually critical for him at casting all his spells, which is something he'll be able to do since he's leveled as all get out. Now 3 levels ahead of Faith and Banana.
Yeah, IG gonna keep on pressuring this. Again, I think that they're still in the middle of this really good timing window for them. If they can win a fight, there's tier 2s up, there's a Roshan available, which shouldn't be too difficult for them to bring down. And yeah, LGD just have to show that they can hold and show that these Midases weren't the wrong decision.
Right. And if they hold, they'll look like geniuses. If they lose a very winnable game because they have Midas on 3 heroes, they'll be the laughingstocks of Chinese Dota.
Yeah. When did LGD.int throw last?
I think it's still that game where they were up 14k against Tongfu.
Yeah, maybe that.
Oh, nice
two-man
shackle. Huh? Nice YYF getting the lasso immediately, but here's Black and all his illusions, all his friends, they bring down Banana. Faith goes too. YYF in trouble. Ferrari the next to be targeted. He's just TPing out as this Shadow Fiend. No, the Chakram will do it. How's BKB? It just expired and his TP interrupted. LGD.int trade 5 for Windrunner. And she has a Midas, so she hardly cares.
And Misery, that was a huge ultimate in that fight. I don't know if you caught that, but it pretty much wiped out 3 IG heroes single-handedly. Freezing Field plus the Radiance Burn. Yeah. IG just melted down. So
yeah, they got
I guess
so
LGD
much damage.
They're gonna go down as geniuses at least for now.
Yeah, the problem for IG is yes. How has the Viper has BKB and he can shrug off a lot of damage. Yes, Shadow Fiend has BKB, but these soft other heroes, YYF lassoed and was dead within 6 or so seconds after trying the lasso. Earthshaker, who's been so critical to them actually winning the fights that they actually do win, was gone almost instantaneously because Brax just focused him. All LGD.int are doing, and it's nothing so terribly complicated, is getting the people without BKB out of the way, and then the damage dealers are completely isolated and have no CC to speak of. I mean, neither Shadow Fiend nor Viper has anything approaching a disable. And now IG, will they catch LGD.int overextending? Here comes the Firefly from YYF. The Roshan still goes down. Spectre manages to narrowly grab it before dropping. Meanwhile, Faith eats a Frostbite. Excellent Fissure by Banana again, actually traps Black as the Spectral Dagger is still cooling down. Misery now hanging out with the IG supports. A little bit of a powwow here. Faith trying to bring Misery down, but bro, Crystal Maiden will not be denied. He's going up to the high ground. It looks like Misery might just be the sacrificial calf here. Yep, another Soul Assumption will... Nope, it will not do it. Misery is undeterrable. Crystal Maiden makes it safely out. They trade YYF for Night Stalker, and Black makes it out.
He would have died if not for that Ogre Club. He just enough has just enough HP to survive because of that. So I guess that random Ogre Club, even if he is going to end up finishing a Hex, did save his life at least the once. So LGD, and they don't get that much out of that Roshan, but one thing that we've neglected to mention is that the last couple of fights, it's been IG initiating.
Right.
I mean, they jumped on Brax, they had an okay position for this mid-fight, though LGD did end up pincering them. But as soon as LGD want to be the initiators, they can just pop Haunt, and all of a sudden it's very difficult for YYF to be able to get a lasso off, and that's a lot of their team fight.
Here comes the Haunt. How already trapped. He might not even get a chance to use BKB. The Viper's already down. Faith frostbitten. Black is getting the rest of him down. Banana so slowed by the Spectral Dagger and the Crystal Nova. No way for the Earthshaker to escape. Doesn't even get a anything like an enchant totem off, and YYF fleeing as far as his bat wings will carry him, as there's nothing for him and Ferrari to do here. In fact, Ferrari is just trying to get a butterfly as fast as he humanly can, because what do they do? LGD.int are starting to knock on their front door, and IG again caught completely flat-footed. TRIDAS starting to come into play.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much paid for itself at this point for LGD.int, so... And investment
XP,
ends up working
I guess. I think it's, if anything needs to be changed, and I'm not saying because of this game things need to be changed, but I feel like the XP is really what's doing it for them. The fact that this CM is 14 against the enemy supports who are 9.
But, I mean, the way that I see it is that, you know, if Freedom had just bought, you know, Freedom had gone for the mech and Misery had gone for, you know, a fighting item, they could have brought down Roshan a little bit earlier. They could have...
That's true.
It just fits the LGD play style of letting the opponent continuously play into them until they're so far ahead that they can, you know, they can just win the game that way. They're not taking any risks, really, I guess.
But I mean, it has to be said, if this is good enough to beat IG, which is the second best team in WPC Ace, IG are no slouches. They've done very well. They've recently done even well against DK, who were nominally the best team. Hey, I mean, maybe it's a limited strategy, but if it beats the best teams, who are we to second guess it, right?
Yeah, of course. And I don't know, IG have been taking some pretty weird fights. That 3-0 that happened over in the Dire Jungle, YYF was all the way over here.
Here comes YYF
he was
now.
Nowhere near that.
He really just this Blink Dagger Bat Rider. Bat has, I feel, just not really gotten it done this game. He has been part of 7 kills, so he's 2, 3, 5. And so he's been in most of IG's engagements. But these solo pickoffs that you expect to just start raining down if a Bat Rider gets an early enough blink, and his blink was at a fine timing, they didn't come at all. And now Black is 3 levels ahead. Pycat is tied with Ferrari on levels because Pycat didn't have the brains to get a Midas. What are you doing, man? It's not too late. It's only 28 minutes. Still has time to Midas.
Yeah, I think you could drag this out another 10 minutes if you want. I don't know. LGD.int are a long way ahead. I think they're just gonna wait around, maybe try and secure the next Roshan. They've got a Hex up for the Crystal Maiden, so Misery finally completes that one, and they are just so far ahead right now, pretty much only farming their side of the map. LGD.int haven't had to, try and secure additional farm over in the Radiant jungle. We do have Brax down there grabbing a little bit at the moment, but looks like IG just gonna try this all in on mid one more time.
It's very low. I think at least, actually, LGD using the fortification, just putting a little bit of fear into IG. I think this is probably still a tower, at least. It will be Ferrari getting the last hit. Here comes Black. The Haunt is already out. Banana trying to run. Finally pops off a Fissure, but he's extremely low. Misery, an amazing position with the Freezing Field once again. But Black is quite low. IG is finally putting their powers to bear with the damage. However, 3 down already. Ferrari next to fall. How's going to try to escape? No such luck. A very prosaic shackle shot by Freedom will latch him to a tree. Earns a triple kill for Misery, who's now 9, 2, and 13 on Crystal Maiden, level god knows what, 16, has his rank 3 Freezing Field, has Scythe of Ice, Midas, Ogre Club, probably most of a BKB now, and Tranquil Boots, and here go LGD.int, completely in control of the second game in a row, surprising the world with this extremely convincing performance against IG. No buybacks except on the Viper. Is it over?
It certainly feels like it. Misery just passed all the way around, got a 4-man Crystal Nova, hid in the trees, dropped the Freezing Field, killed off 2 supports pretty much by himself, and IG had enough power to be able to kill off the Spectre the once, but that was about it. Everybody else on LGD.int just went to work.
Oh, no, Fissure response, but YYF not getting any time out of the lasso at all. Pretty much shut down through its entirety. Pycat just going to BKB TP out, and LGD.int. What a clean exit. Again, this team is just playing so much cleaner. Actually, Brax runs back in, and with the Whirling Death, he just slaps down YYF. Timber Chain to the high ground. Faith and How in pursuit. Another excellent Fissure from Banana. If they kill this Timbersaw, it's only through that Fissure. Doesn't look like they even get that lucky. With 17 charges on his Bloodstone, Brax swaggers away with another Timber Chain, and IG can't make... okay, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but what the hell happened to this series? Is it just IG didn't anti-LGD.int LGD.int?
I mean, IG this game didn't try really for that many smoke movements, that many smoke pickoffs. They didn't try and disrupt LGD.int that much through the mid game. Whenever they went for something, they did it as 5 because they were just worried about the pickoff power of LGD.int, and with good reason, of course. But yeah, I almost just want to say that it's defender's advantage again. LGD.int had the opportunity to keep farming while IG were moving,
right?
And that's just really translated into a lot, since they have been able to actually hold onto their towers through pretty convincing teamfights.
I don't know, Basecamp. I kind of hate Viper too. Cards on the table. I hate this hero. He has a very bad win rate considering how many times he's been picked. You win the lane, which is what you said. Viper wins lanes, but then you have a Viper for an entire game. Here's Banana, completely silenced up.
Banana's already gone. Faith's dropping pretty low as well. Haunt coming in from Black, setting up 2 kills. Misery blinked straight into the middle of that one with the Hex, and just sets everything up. So LGD.int said that they hadn't made their way over onto the Radiant side of the map for quite a while, but all of a sudden they're here, and looking at a second lane of Brax.
Yeah, it's looking like the tier 2 at the very least is going to be almost trivial for LGD.int to bring down. Yeah, I gotta say the Windrunner Midas was probably almost pure cheekiness, because he has nothing now that you wouldn't have with normal. I mean, sure, he's a little higher level than he would be. Actually picks up a Perseverance. I don't even know what this Perseverance is about. Lincolns, maybe? Maybe this is finally the Luminous support Lincolns?
Could be. Maybe you buy a Refresher Orb and you shackle
could be
2
Refresher.
guys, you shackle the second guy.
Oh my god, Refresher Windrunner is so next level, I don't think I can even handle it, Basecamp. That's like TI6 meta.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think it'll happen in this game, but he does have a Sage's Mask, so.
I know. That's what I'm looking at right now. Is this fucking Sage's Mask?
Anyway, so IG pinned back on their side of the map. Going back to that thought about the Viper, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. Unless he starts getting out of control pretty quickly, he is quite easy to deal with. He's just single target damage. He's not that tanky in reality, so it's not that difficult to just focus him down at the start of fights. And even with the BKB, How hasn't felt really scary at any point. I mean, Ferrari's got some good damage going on, but the Viper just hasn't really scaled. And the other thing is he wins lanes, but he just doesn't flash farm. So
right.
If he's going to get anywhere in terms of item progression, then it has to be through fighting and continuing to keep the momentum on their side. Well, SF can kind of come back a little bit, even from a rough early start.
That's very true. SF's ability to flash farm just is a major distinction between the two heroes, and you're seeing it here. I mean, Ferrari, they have very similar deaths. Ferrari has 5, How has 6, but if you just look at the net worth, Shadow Fiend is completely eclipsed Viper. He's 4.5k ahead. He's got a Butterfly and a Helm of the Dominator, so it's a pretty great loadout for him, whereas Viper's is just extremely lackluster, a 7-second BKB, and a Yasha. His speed is nothing to write home about even. I mean, with Tread's Yasha, you're still only up to about 368. That's the other thing about Viper. Sure, the dude slows other people, but he slows himself almost just as much, just by existing.
Yeah, Roshan's actually going to respawn really quickly here. So LGD.int, they hammer the lanes out. I don't know if they're going to go back and check it again. Let's see if Pycat is wanting to just poke his head in there. Freedom, I think he's going to scout it with the power shot here.
Yeah, most likely. Freedom, of course, still holding on to that perseverance. We're still waiting with bated breath to see what the hell that ends up being. It looks like Roche, as you said, Baseskip. LGD.int going straight forward, and IG have no recourse whatsoever. Not only are they hemmed into their own base, not only is the lane pushed towards the ranged Rax that still stands in the middle, LGD.int also has essentially perfect vision of what's going on. They've got a ward up here. I believe they actually have a ward. Yeah, they have a ward here as well. So any avenue of approach taken by IG is going to be scouted well in advance by LGD.int, who are just now putting the finishing touches on Roshan number 2. Looks like it's going to be an Aegis for Black, and he's got 3k HP. Then you double that for the Aegis, and just think about the amount of damage being thrown out by dispersion alone. It might be enough to kill people like Banana's Earthshaker, even with Brazier Gaming starting to be developed on him, and definitely Faith's Visage will drop quite quickly as well.
Yeah, and I mean, LGD.int are just so far ahead. As soon as they, as soon as the game started to get away from IG, it just moves away from them so quickly. As soon as they can't make the decision to take team fights and try and win team fights, then LGD.int, with this setup that they've got going, just outfarm them hard. I mean, they didn't even have to play starvation tactics. They could just control their side of the map and get more items than IG did outright.
Right. And here's Black, with nary a care in the world, just smacking that tier 3 tower. Starts to take some damage from How. How doesn't want to commit to the ultimate just yet. He doesn't have Ags, so it's a decent cooldown. Here's a great lasso from YYF. This will be the Aegis brought down. It has to be. Yes, it is. BKB already used for How. He's trying to protect Banana. He actually slows Pycat quite a bit. Has Pycat overextended. Here comes the Haunt. How is actually sheeped by that Crystal Maiden. How is in a lot of trouble. This Viper does not have buyback, and he's getting pushed into his fountain. He goes down. Ferrari, Banana, Faith, YYF. They are all sitting in their fountain as the rest of LGD.int goes ahead and goes right for the bottom set of racks. The tower drops, Flame Break comes through, hits on nothing, Brax with a decent dodge of that, and Ferrari, he knows he has BKB, he has Chrysalis, he has Butterfly, that Shackle shot comes through, none of that matters. Ferrari just got dropped like a sack of bricks, and the Misery still continuing to use the Freezing Field, not really to any great effect, but the important thing is that they brought the Shadow Fiend down. He doesn't have buyback, he bought out for that Chrysalis, he needed the extra damage, but it's costing them another set of barracks. It's probably the end of IG in the series. LGD.int 2-0 IG.
Yeah. Misery Gaming. I don't know what else to say. He indirectly made space for Black. And if you think about the way that the game progressed, Misery helps win mid for Pycat. Pycat gets scary enough to go and run around on the Radiant side of the map to drag everybody from IG down to try and deal with him. And then because of, Pycat running around in circles, Black is just able to farm the game out. And the Spectre had there was no response from IG for the late game Spectre here. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you can all trace it back to just great play from Misery in this game.
Right from the first blood, he just roared out of the gate. And if people were wondering about whether Crystal Maiden would pay off as a first pick for LGD in both games, I think Misery answered that with a resounding yes. In fact, it's honestly like, you remember when LGD.int first moved to China and they were like winning with the dual roam? It's like they've condensed that into one hero and just have 4 farmers with this Chris CM. But people will start banning CM, kind of like people started banning Chen against them earlier. We'll see if they weather that storm.
And there are other ways to deal with the roamers as well. I mean, if you have vision of where the Crystal Maiden is going to be before she comes to try and find you, then you can sort of anticipate the ganks and things like that. You can leave one of your supports there ready to try and counter gank. I mean, we talked about IG during the draft maybe being able to sit banana behind Ferrari on middle lane, but he actually went up top to try and pressure out Black, and that gave Misery all the openings that he needed to pick up those kills on Ferrari.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you so much, Basekip, for coming to co-cast with me. It would have been a very boring, lonely... Well, I can't say it would be too boring because they went Tri-Midas, but it would have been much more lonely without you. You want to promote your Twitter, good stuff like that?
All right, so if anybody wants to let me know what they thought of my casting this evening, you can email me at basekipdota@gmail.com. All of my other stuff is under the name of Basekip, so Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff, Twitch as well. So if anybody wants to find me, that's where I am. And thank you, Fike, for having me on. It was a pleasure. It's
always a pleasure, Basekip. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, both in-game Dota TV and on Twitch TV. I do apologize we had such great delays. Basically, I don't know, something happened. There were 2 problems. The WPC Ace LAN Center computers weren't working as well as they wanted to, so they had issues getting players into the game because of that. And then, of course, the Dota 2 network was down for a pretty long time this morning, and that delayed us further. So I'm sorry about the delays. There's basically nothing that I can do from here. I'm about 4,000 miles from where I'd be able to make any impact. But hope you enjoyed the games nonetheless. I do feel that both series were pretty exciting today. The second one, probably more so than the first. But we do really, really appreciate all y'all watching. BTS has more games today, I believe. Let's look that up really quickly so I don't make sure I'm not lying. Actually, we might have games pretty soon just because this ran so far over. 26th of October, it looks like we've got... Nope, that is our last game of the day, but you can check out... it looks like Egypt vs. Empire will be played on the Nedalic TV channel, so you can check those guys out. Thanks again for watching. I'm Vikramond, VYKROMOND. Beyond the Summit should be back by tomorrow. They're just upgrading their stream hardware and their computers and all that good stuff. So they'll be bringing you even higher quality Dota content than they already did, if that's even possible. Thanks again, and good night.